decoder at 40,000 shillings. Experience the thrill of every goal in La Liga, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, and the excitement of live sports action from the Saudi Pro League and Carabao Cup on Azam Plus and Play Package in HD. Your favorite China Uganda movies on Chamuka TV on Azam Pure for just 13,000 shillings monthly. Unlock a world of sports and entertainment with Azam TV, the most affordable pay TV around. Visit any of our agents or call 0312 308 900 for more details.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
The search for Miss Uganda is back on Star Times Makula Chika. All regions compete for one crown. Who will be the next true Ugandan beauty queen? Do you have the looks, the brains, the confidence? This is your chance. For registration, log on to www.missuganda.co.ug before 20th June. Miss Uganda 2025 premieres on 27th June at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika. Stay connected on Star Times to watch the journey to the crown.
Miss Uganda, true Ugandan beauty.
This search is sponsored by Rian Esheri, Sino Mbale Industrial Park,
U-Home,
Xiaomi, and Tico Safari Lodge, and lead sponsor Tianao Furniture Manufacturing.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, it is again the real talk show at West Nile TV. This show comes to you every Saturday from the hour of 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and we explore the issues affecting the society. We bring influential people to sensitize the community about those issues and how can we come together to avoid these issues or even to solve the challenges. You are most welcome for today's show. Today being the first Saturday of June. I think this is the first show this month. So you're most welcome to the other half of June. And yesterday was Eid Day. I hope you had a very wonderful day thereafter. And today we are talking about the effects of imprisonment with the harsh realities of what inmates go through, the stigma, the psychological torture, and also the process of rehabilitation sometimes is very, very challenging for them. Society isolates them and there's a lot of stress that comes with it. So we thought it very wise to come and address this issue. My name is Aita Sophie, your host, and as you can see, I am not alone in the studio. Let's give a chance for the guests to introduce themselves, starting with the closest to me.
A very good evening to the viewers and my colleagues here in the studio. Yes. The names I'm called Commissioner here. Very simple names, no botanical names.
I see.
Those are the names.
You're welcome to West Nile TV.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sophie, our host, the West Nile TV crew. I'm excited to be here. It's a big pleasure to be here. Good evening, our viewers and listeners over there. My name is Godfrey Odama Lakshmi. I'm a team lead for Lux Foundation that deals with also prison ministry. I'm excited to be here to talk about that effect of imprisonment.
Wow. By the way, Lakshmi is very passionate about this particular topic and he is raising an organization to help such people. That aside, how was Eid? Did you guys feel anything?
Well, it was a real excitement and I shared it with the prison youth.
Wow.
Yes.
That was actually amazing.
You know,
How about you?
such big days. They always come every day to share with the people who are very close to us.
True.
Then at the end of the day, in our society, we tend to forget that so many people with whom we are supposed to share, which there are many people who forget about the prisoners, the inmates. I think it is very important
By the way, this particular idio of yesterday was for sharing. I hear it is like they slaughter, I think, a goat.
Animals. Yes. What if you go through yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
you get to realize that the Muslim community, especially in Niger, Kampala, was able to slaughter 1,400.
Oh my
So
God.
that is share among the
Yeah.
Muslim community and the Christians. I think also.
It was literally a day of sharing, but today we're focusing on the prisoners. I've ever been in prison ministry and tried to eat the food they eat, and it was not easy.
Right.
Yesterday it was really amazing. If you went to see the prisoners, the inmates actually, and shared food with them. Have you, starting with Gift, have you ever had an experience with someone who was in prison? And if yes, how was it?
I've ever had colleagues who had been put in prison,
Okay.
and if you look at the situation, it's really very hard.
Hmm.
You get to understand that this person is not the right state of mind,
True.
and this person doesn't enjoy the freedom that he or she is supposed to really enjoy.
Hmm.
Much as me myself as an individual, I've never been in the cells myself,
Okay.
that I normally tell my colleagues, all of us as long as we are living, you are liable to be in prison, either falsely or else for a wrongdoing which you really did. Because the colleagues whom I had in prison, they are taking all the possessions that at the end of the day, when the rightful steps were followed up, they ended up outside and we have to now receive the goods by the name of the state have not been lost.
We thank God they have been free. But then you talked of the trauma, the issue. Now you just know that this person is actually not fine. Let's hear from Laxmi.
Yes, I've not been to the cells myself, but I visit the prison more often. I'm being inspired by the Bible, especially Hebrews 13, that talks from verse 1 to about 3. It talks about remembering those who were in prison as if you were one of them. And that inspires me a lot. And then when you look into Matthew 25, that talks about
Yeah, I was actually going to mention Matthew 25.
yeah, about people who are remembering people who are sick, people who are in prison. That gives me a lot of motivation to go in there. Yes, I have been to the prison several times, and I hold them dear to my heart. I know what they experience, and I also experienced what they experience. We share the experience. It's really great to be here and then to give more insights about
Wow.
Yes.
Now we will have to increase our voices because someone who is following is saying that we are too low.
Okay.
Okay, we'll have to have our voices louder.
That's fine.
Talking about, coming back to what Mr. Gift said, he talked about these people having mental problems, like, okay, not really mental problems, but psychological problems. What impact can these imprisonments have on the psychological health of somebody?
Thank you.
Mm.
For you to talk about the psychological effect this person experience while being in prison, we first have to understand what imprisonment is exactly.
Yeah.
If you have understood what imprisonment is, then at the end of the day, you will definitely know what is hoping to go through each behind
Okay, you
the
can
bars.
bring that up for us. Actually, it's interesting.
If you look at imprisonment itself, imprisonment comes from the word prison. Even without prison, you do not have prisoners. And then at the end of the day, you look at imprisonment as an act of putting someone behind the bars, or restraining someone without their consent but for a wrongdoing. Meaning that why am I saying that a wrongdoing without their consent? It is against their will. No one will want to wake up one morning and then say that I want to go to the cells. I don't think there's any human being who will do that unless otherwise it brings us to imprisonment. And then if you look at the imprisonment in Uganda, generally you get arrested by January 2025. You get to realize that 79,563 individuals are behind the bars.
Oh, that's a very huge
Compared
statistic.
to the capacity of Uganda's prison service, which is 21,237. So if you look at the DC statistics, you must be able to tell you the state of mind someone who goes behind will definitely go through. It means that it tells you that there is congestion in the prisons, and then two, it must be able to highlight to you that the services being offered. When I talk of services, you look at these people, they are fed. This was of recent, the government of Uganda tried very hard to improve the status quo of the prisoners by bringing in mattresses.
Yeah.
In fact, during that time when mattresses were brought in for prisoners, some of the people were articulating that now the situation is normalizing. It's okay. We can go to the prison and sleep on a mattress. We can go to the prison and eat very good food. But at the end of the day, all this data has been brought is actually not enough because of the congestion. All the cells in Uganda is here. Coming to the question.
Okay. Actually, you had brought in a very powerful aspect over there about these conditions not being good and also the statistics. However, I would want you to repeat that again. But then let's first have a very short break. We are coming back and I just want you to repeat that again because I got so much interested there. Yeah, let's have a short break and then we are coming back.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
It's time to break free with Azam TV. Grab yourself a full kit at 80,000 shillings or an Azam decoder at 40,000 shillings. Experience the thrill of every goal in La Liga, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, and the excitement of live sports action from the Saudi Pro League and Carabao Cup on Azam Plus and Play Package in HD. Your favorite China Uganda movies on Chamuka TV on Azam Pure for just 13,000 shillings monthly. Unlock a world of sports and entertainment with Azam TV, the most affordable pay TV around. Visit any of our agents or call 0312 308 900 for more details.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
The search for Miss Uganda is back on Star Times Makula Chika. All regions compete for one crown. Who will be the next true Ugandan beauty queen? Do you have the looks, the brains, the confidence? This is your chance. For registration, log on to www.missuganda.co.ug before 20th June. Miss Uganda 2025 premieres on 27th June at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika. Stay connected on Star Times to watch the journey to the crown.
Miss Uganda, true Ugandan beauty.
This search is sponsored by Vian Esheri, Sino Mbale Industrial Park,
U-Home,
Xiaomi, and Tico Safari Lodge, and lead sponsor Tianao Furniture Manufacturing.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
It's time to break free with Azam TV. Grab yourself a full kit at 80,000 shillings or an Azam decoder at 40,000 shillings. Experience the thrill of every goal in La Liga, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, and the excitement of live sports action from the Saudi Pro League and Carabao Cup on Azam Plus and Play Package in HD. Your favorite China Uganda movies on Chamuka TV on Azam Pure for just 13,000 shillings monthly. Unlock a world of sports and entertainment with Azam TV, the most affordable pay TV around. Visit any of our agents or call 0312 308 900 for more details.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
The search for Miss Uganda is back on Star Times Makula Chika. All regions compete for one crown. Who will be the next true Ugandan beauty queen? Do you have the looks, the brains, the confidence? This is your chance. For registration, log on to www.missuganda.co.ug before 20th June. Miss Uganda 2025 premieres on 27th June at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika. Stay connected on Star Times to watch the journey to the crown.
Miss Uganda, true Ugandan beauty.
This search is sponsored by Vian Esheri, Sino Mbale Industrial Park,
U-Home,
Xiaomi, and Tico Safari Lodge, and lead sponsor Tianao Furniture Manufacturing.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
So far, so good. You are most welcome to join us. In case you have just tuned in, this is West Nile TV, the real talk show that comes to you every Saturday from the hour of 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And today, we are talking about effects of imprisonment, from how we can help these people when they're still in the prison, to how we can help the society with their rehabilitation, and also how we can help them adapt after the imprisonment. So we broke off when Mr. Gift was talking about this, giving us a background of what imprisonment is, and some statistics which I actually got so much interested in, and I had asked him to repeat. Yeah, you're most welcome.
Yes, like I was saying, you do not have imprisonment. There's no imprisonment without a prison.
That's true.
And then at the end of the day, there's no imprisonment and a prison without a prisoner. Meaning that these three things, when you have all of them, at the end of the day, you will have a complete set.
True.
Meaning that the other one becomes the prisoner, becomes a client of these prisons that we have in Uganda. My brother will confirm with what I've said. And if you look at the imprisonment in Uganda, imprisonment itself, it looks at it is the act. It's actually the act of putting someone behind the bars, or you're being restrained and you're put behind the bars, or you're put in the cells. For the case of formality and Uganda, you're put in the cells.
Yeah.
And you being put under cells, it is against your own will. I mean, it is something that you do not want, but the laws bring you and you're put under the cells.
True.
And when you're put under the cells, meaning that you're deprived of your liberty, and you're deprived of your freedom, even freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to move freely in this city. For the case of Arua city, because we city now, you do not have this freedom.
all this that a normal person enjoys, you do not have. And I was saying that this one is done as a form of a punishment. It is a punishment for wrongdoing, definitely. And then when you look at the statistics in Uganda, you get to realize that by January 2025, around 79,563 individuals have been put behind the bars, compared to the actual capacity of the prisons that we have, which is 21,257. So what does this mean? It clearly indicates to you the circumstances under which our prisoners are living. The people who are put behind are living. You look at the food itself, which they eat. Of course, I know it is a portion of the beans. And then you look at the housing itself, the housing facilities. If you go through, if you go from former barracks, Arua City, down to Diofe, you get to realize that the prison service have plastered the prison housing itself, but you don't know what the situation inside is like. So meaning that all this, it gives an image of how someone who's in a prison is like, meaning that this person will be going through depression, this person will be going through stress, and the many other things which will come up because of this. So you're deprived of all the benefits.
Okay, just before we go to the core question, I think Laxmi has something to add.
Oh yes, I didn't want to divert from what you're saying, but let's come back home.
Yeah.
You see, when he talks about Ugandan prisons, I would like to think the Ugandan government, just like any other nation, is using the prisons as an institution.
Yeah.
Number one, it's a correctional center.
That's true.
It's not a punishment. It's not punishment as such. Number one, why we have prisons in Uganda is to ensure that at the end of the day, the citizens are able to maintain law and order. Second, number two, the prisons are places for reformation. Then number three, it deters, it protects the citizens from doing further crime. So from the positive side, the prisons are put in place for a very good intention. And justice is part of it. And that's how you get justice. Assuming somebody killed and you left the killer to be at large, the community may react against such a person. But it's a good form of also making sure that crime does not spread out.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that government does. I did allude to you that yesterday I was in the prisons.
Yes.
The first thing when you do is when you enter the prison, there is a board, there is a blackboard. And I would say that's a dashboard.
Okay.
Just like a normal car, it has a dashboard. You can see the speed at which things are running.
Okay.
So when I entered in yesterday, I found 455 of the people inside the male section were convicted. Conviction means their case has been heard and they have been sentenced. Then around 655 of the male who are currently there as per yesterday, they were on remand.
Wow.
And on remand means your case is not yet done. Now, based on what you are saying, it is clear that 59% of those people who are in the Ruamen prison cell right now, their cases have not been concluded. And that's a huge burden. Now that alone comes with undetermined fate of how long you stay in the prison cells.
Wow.
But from the government perspective, I would say the government is doing a lot of good work for now.
I understand that you only get to determine how long you stay after being convicted.
Correct. Correct. So having 655 against 455.
That's a whole lot.
That's a backlog. So that means our justice system is a delayed system. And I normally tell the boys, the gate to the prisons is wide open. All of us here qualify to go in there. But the exit is too narrow.
Wow.
Coming out is too narrow.
And I think given that background, it will now take us to the effects that he talked about. What kind of effects are in there or impacts it creates. But just to mention, the prisons are needed.
It's actually very heartbreaking to know that that very large number of people are still on remand. But then, based on the fact that this is a correctional institution, that could be positive on the side of the society, but on the side of the individual, the negative surpasses the positive.
That is true. I wouldn't want to divert from that. There is a doctor called Dr. Shiman. He did a survey, a study together with a university in Europe, especially about the conditions of the prisons here in Uganda, especially imprisonment of the caregiver, the bread earner, what impact it has on the child and on the society. And obviously, it is a lot more negative. But on the other side, I would like to say these prisons have high level of professionalism, integrity, and they observe human rights. The staff who work in there, they are so professional and they foster a lot of discipline. That's why I did mention that to some extent it is a correctional institution. Yeah. But I always urge people not to be corrected in there. Yeah.
I remember my dad used to call it University of Understanding.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is extreme. Yes.
But it's really, much as everyone qualifies to go there, but then we don't want you to go through the trauma. I don't want to go through the trauma anymore. No. We used to have prison ministry, and you know, there are kids that are born there. Those kids, at times, maybe the mother comes with them when they are very young. The kids get to grow there. There was one particular child in the female section, who didn't think that males actually exist. For her, she only knew the females. She knew that everyone on earth is a lady or a woman. Because that was a baby girl, and then her mother and all the people inside, the people who visited were also females, and so she would run away. I'm like, what is this? So obviously this has something to do with the psychological well-being of a person.
Correct. From
the families to these inmates themselves and to the society and all that. So let's talk about that. What do you think, how do you think imprisonment affects the psychological being of somebody?
Yes, if you look at the history of imprisonment and the prisoners in Uganda, my brother stated it very well, that these are homes, these are remanded homes where you're supposed to be rehabilitated from wrongdoing, either from drug addiction or else from being a murderer, or else from being a serial thief within a society. And then now it brings you back to what this person can go through. Meaning that you as an individual, by the fact that you've been put inside, first of all, it brings the anger.
Yeah.
There are effects of anger. Someone will become very angry because of the situation which is inside. I'm meant to understand, if you're a prisoner, definitely you're meant to doing your work. You're meant to doing work, whether you're going to dig, and which work you're doing doesn't generate income for yourself, but it generates income at the end of the day to the government of this country. But we say that it's not a bad, if it is a punishment for the wrongdoing that you're having.
It's a correction.
It's a correction. Definitely when you come outside, you'll be able to reform. And then too, there's what we call cognitive impairment.
Okay.
Cognitive impairment, what does it mean? Meaning that you being there because of the situation you've been subjected to, you have chances of losing your memory.
Okay.
And you have chances of not remembering things actually well. when they ask you what is that, at the end of the day, it is very hard for you to remember.
So what causes this cognitive impairment? Is it the stress? What is it exactly?
First of all, when you are behind a bus or when you're in these cells, I think you are aware that these people, they are confined in one environment.
Yes.
You do not have the freedom to move outside, maybe to meet today your uncle, you meet your brother, you're confined within a dirty space. The only things you are able to see, the only people you're able to meet are your brothers and your sisters in yellow. And that is the clothes that you are putting on.
And anyone who comes to see you.
Anyone who comes to see you, maybe by a chance. For people who have been remanded, maybe for life imprisonment, for capital offenses, I don't think it is on a regular basis that these people they are met by their relatives who are outside. My brother here, maybe they meet people like my brother here who go to preach the word of God to them. You say you do this and so on. So you see that the situation, the environment in which you are, what I'm trying to say, the environment in which you are always, you're eating the post on the beans. I don't know if they have for them meat.
I think then, once in a while maybe.
Yeah. And then you're subjected to the yellow cloth every day. When you come out, it is the time when you're taken for samba. Samba means that you're taken to the garden to dig.
Wow.
Which digging at times is beyond the limit that you should have had for yourself when you are free.
Yeah. When we talk about psychological effects, these are effects that has to do with the individual's state of mind.
Okay.
And one obvious thing is imprisonment causes isolation. You're isolated from your loved ones, and this is what pains so much. And then your freedom partly is taken off from your daily routine. Now, the number one effect of being in prison, number one effect is the trauma it comes with.
Yeah.
So the trauma leaves you in a state of stress. You're isolated. There are many things you'd like to do. That means your plans will come to a standstill. If you have an employment, and then obviously what will happen is you will not go to the job.
Yeah.
And then your loved ones are somewhere. You know, one of the things I actually enjoy is coming home because the kids come and say, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." But at that particular time, you have no option.
You don't come home.
Your eyes, yes. So you keep thinking about your family. You keep thinking about your job. You keep thinking about your business. That alone is stress, and stress with time, persistent stress, leads to hypertension. That means the condition, your condition, is affected. Like you correctly say, many of the guys have lost memory. You talk to somebody, they literally hear you, but they're not listening. So that's the effect it comes with. Literally your freedom, you're not free.
It is very, very sad. I actually don't wish for anyone to go there.
Yeah.
Through that kind of... I know of someone who was in prison when I was doing my internship at the camp. And this guy was actually released by that time, and he had been in prison for a very long time. When he came out, he didn't know where to go. So, like, he forgot. he forgot everywhere. We laughed about it. It looked hilarious because we were not in his shoe, but it's really a very sad story.
Yeah.
So I actually agree with the fact that it comes with memory loss, and sometimes, I don't know if my mind is true or not, I think also seeing yellow every day could also have an effect.
Yes, it all comes to the anger issues. It all comes to the cognitive issues which my colleagues talked about and they had also talked about. Then one aspect or one point that we always leave out is the self-harm. By the way, these people, if they are not well taken care of, there's what we call self-harm. The thought of having suicide. Have you ever asked yourself why, when someone is taken to prison, they do not allow laces inside?
Okay.
And they have you the shoeless, even the belts. they are not allowed. Even scarves, they are not allowed. Why? It's simple, because these people, the situation, I told the environment is not like the environment outside.
Yeah.
Definitely you'll be tasked to think outside the box. It is better for me to end my life such that the situation can change for me.
Yeah.
Can change for myself.
They're actually prisoners. Well,
so meaning that being in a prison and being a prisoner, you have, it increases your chances of harming yourself at the expense of saying that let me deal away with the situation that I'm going through. Yes.
Yes, you did ask a question whether putting on the same uniform, same clothes has an effect. The reason they are given the uniform is number one, for identity.
Okay.
And like an organization, it will be good to have a uniform. What comes as a challenge is having to always put on the same clothes every day. And surprisingly, you have to wash it. It's wash and wear.
So the question that always comes to my mind is, at what time do these people wash their clothes?
Well, it's a technical question, unless you come to the correctional institution.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, but that alone is not a good thing. You don't have the freedom to put on what you want.
True.
So that also leads back to the trauma we are talking about. Then the other thing I observed with the psychology, the psychological effect is, you know, under this ministry, I happened to go and receive one of the inmates on the release day.
Okay.
But what was so funny about his behavior was the tendency of always squatting down. So even if you're on the streets, he would like to squat down when talking.
He got used to it.
Exactly. So much as it's a discipline, but that alone is a disease. Medically, it will not be normal.
True.
So psychologically, that affects their memory and also their way of life. Then lastly, these people are defensive, especially after release. Because inside the cell, you have to also have self-defense. If you go to the police here, you're a newcomer, the guys will ask you to make chapatis and you have to slap the wall. So that alone, you have to think of how can you defend yourself. So psychologically, you build your mind to defend. So at the time of release, post, you will find that these people, their behavior has changed. And one of it is the tendency of being defensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
It keeps me with a lot of questions, but we'll get to that with time.
Yeah,
Let me talk about something you mentioned. You said you love coming back home and kids around you and they're welcoming you. Now, when you're isolated, you're confined somewhere in the prison, you don't have this privilege of coming home, seeing your children, and even sometimes, as Gift said, that some people don't have the chances to be visited all the time. Yes. Because of the conditions, or because of even the conditions of the family. There are times these prisons are very far.
Yeah, that's true, but the other bit is visiting the prisons is costly. It has something to do with money, transport, and also taking something for these guys. But what is so funny is, when you're newly taken there to prison, your relatives will visit you. They will visit you frequently.
Yeah.
But the longer you stay in there, the frequency of visiting you will obviously will reduce.
Yes.
And if we come to how it affects the family, I will assure you one of the issues is that there's dissolution of families, separation happens, divorce happens.
You go to prison, you come back when your wife has
gone, and the children will grow up without a father.
Without a father.
Definitely, that is psychologically, they are also tortured. So that also plays. So, yeah.
I've known of someone, a little girl whose father was in prison for a very long time, and that made her change her dreams from being a teacher to a lawyer. Just because she wants to release
justice, yes.
Yeah, she wants justice, and she didn't like the fact that her father was in prison for a very long time and they didn't have a good lawyer and all that.
Yep.
So these things actually have a psychological torture on the children, on the family members, even the society, by the way, especially if this particular person was a very influential one in the society will mourn. Do you have something to add in regards to that?
My colleague has aired them clearly outside. When you come and visit these prisoners, it doesn't come easily. There are costs which are associated with them. And then with the time, definitely the people will start also isolating themselves from you.
Yeah.
And the meaning is that when you're in prison, there are so many privileges that you lose at the end of the day. Even your family suffers them also. Correct. Let alone the financial bit of it.
Yeah.
There is what we call shame and guilt. There's what we call shame and guilt at the end of the day, which will come.
The stigma.
When they say that it's so easy going to you as a parent, or you as a sister, or you as a brother, today you're going to visit a brother who has been convicted, or a brother who has been remanded for murder. You see the name. The word is a murder. You've been remanded rightfully for murder. You see, even when you are re-entering the community as a parent of this person, or as a brother, as a sister, definitely the same will be there for you and even the person who is in the prisons. It is not something which is a good action.
So how can the society support such individuals though they are guilty?
The first thing is the mindset change. And then when you have a mindset change, you will have the chance to offer counseling to these kind of people. And then at the end of the day, you will be able to accept the circumstance. But if you do not have a mindset change, meaning that it will still continue, the stigma will be there within the families. So meaning that as a relative of this person or as a society, it is very important to offer support. Counseling, when you come, the first thing, you don't have to come do the food. Well, you have to come with food, or the money is not even accepted first of all there. So meaning that you need to come, you offer counseling to these people. It is very important. My colleague here, he knows what the best they do to these people. And then the educational bit of it, I'm actually very happy that the Uganda Prisons Service also offers skilling, training and skilling to these people.
Yes, that's true.
And they allow the church people to also go and preach to these prisoners.
Yeah.
Most times when I pass the cells around the Diofe, I feel happy when I see those women, they are dancing to Adungu songs and so
But
they even
have their own choirs.
Exactly, they have them. So those are the things that we are supposed to do as a society or as a prison service, to see that we offer support to our brothers and sisters who are under the mat.
So, besides what you are saying, when you talk about society, we all understand that the smallest unit of a society is the family.
Yes.
Yeah, so it all comes down to the family. The family has to be able to visit the prison inmate frequently. And there's something that works. I've seen this over time that I've been visiting the prisons. The prisoner can make decisions while he's still inside.
Okay.
So, for example, if he's seeking for justice, he knows that I have a goat that I left behind. I have a business that is running. I have a house. I have these assets. He knows. So if the family is in close contact with the inmate, he is able to visit. So he can choose to have an administrator for his business or a friend whom he knows very well to run business on his behalf. And he makes decisions, he makes major decisions from inside. So in other words, I'm saying there should be constant communication with the inmate.
Okay.
And this could also be done probably by having a phone call. The Ugandan prisons allow, you can telephone and talk to whoever you want.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So when you telephone, what happens? What's the process?
There's a call center. You can talk to the OC and say, my name is so-and-so, I would like to talk to so-and-so, and then they go and look for the inmate, bring the inmate, and then you have to call back. So that is allowed. It's absolutely allowed if distance is keeping you apart, but they can get to talk. And actually here in Arua, the visits are 3 times in a week. So
okay. What are the days?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But there are other special arrangements if you'd like to get your person visited.
That's actually very good. It's a nice information that we need to visit these people, and you can make those special arrangements. It's better that there is a phone call, there's a call center, you can call and speak with them, encourage them, and that would actually be amazing to help them. And I know if you keep in touch as a family with such people, the trauma kind of reduces.
Yes.
Just the fact that someone cares.
And they feel they're not isolated.
Yes.
They feel there is still hope. They will get back and get.
Actually, it's a first step to what we call reintegration. You know, we need to, like I said, acceptance is the first thing. We need to accept these people that they are part of the community.
Yeah.
And then by the fact of accepting them, we'll be able to take steps of reintegrating them back into the society that they have been in before. So reintegration basically takes the steps of 1, visiting them, you can visit, and then 2, even talking to you who is outside, talking to the society from which this person had come, talking good about this person.
Yeah.
Such that when this person is released,
coming back, yes.
Coming back maybe after 20 years, it happens.
Yeah.
There are those ones who are in remand for over 20 years.
Yeah,
you talk about
even more.
Do you know for how long Godi has stayed in prison? Godi, I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't know Honorable Godi in Arua, but he has been in remand for more than 10 years. If my
yes, and it feels like
very well.
Even the society has almost forgotten
the society.
about
Such kind of people have the feeling that the society have forgotten about us. The society maybe is now thinking negative about me.
Yes.
But when we constantly encourage them to do communications, like my colleague has said, when we make visits to them, and for us who are outside, if we also take the privilege and talk good about them, maybe to the society, by the end of the time, when they are done serving their time of being of remand, they will come to the society will accept them positively. By the way, if this is not done, these people, when they enter into a hostile community, at the end of the day, the community can turn against them and they can be killed.
Or they can
especially
be reoccurrence.
Exactly, just a minute. Especially the ones who had been affected negatively. What do I mean by those who are affected negatively? If maybe they are remanded someone because of murder, you killed my brother, that's why you're inside. Meaning that by the time you come out, if there's no mindset change, if someone doesn't talk to me positively, definitely I will have the tendency of what? Repaying back.
Yeah, like that mindset, you kill my brother.
An eye for an eye. So it will want to come back, but we do not encourage for this, because at the end of the day, if you do this to someone who has come out, definitely to turn against you, to also be a victim and be inside.
Yes.
So the integration is it's very important.
Yeah, it's a process actually. You had something to add?
Yes. Now you asked about how can the community help the inmates. So this is two-phased. One is while they're inside, but the other one is post. So one of the things they need to do as a society is to protect the properties of the inmate.
Okay.
So if he has land, piece of land, then there's no need to sell it. Somebody has to protect it. If they have kids who are supposed to go to school, then the kids need encouragement to go to school.
Yeah.
If there can be means of paying them to school, then that should happen. So by protecting the property of the inmate, then definitely That's a big help. They have where to start from.
Okay.
Then number two, when these people come back, say for example, God forbid, say for example, I am employed, I am working, and then because of anything, I am taken in. But when I come back, there should be a process of reintegration with my organization. So most times, there's a lot of financial loss when you're in.
Yeah.
Now when you come back, the society can choose, or your organization can choose and say, you know what, we're going to give you a salary advance for you to put yourself up.
But do they do that?
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible and it can happen. So you see, there are many issues, there are many cases that involve employees of organizations, of even government. But when they come back, there has to be a mechanism. Every organization has to put a mechanism of getting them back, much as there is a policy on criminal acts.
Now, you know, when somebody goes to prison, it's like, let's say 60% or 70% of the community, the mindset changes as a negative.
Yes, that is true.
So when these people go, the organization, when they are in prison actually, the organizations also, I feel like they'll be thinking about their reputation. Like when this person comes back, what will they say about us? Or the society will think this is already a bad person, we can't accept the person.
Well, for NGOs, most times there's a period, there's a minimum period. So say, for example, you got into prison because you had an accident, you caused an accident. As long as they weigh the case and the case is of a magnitude that they can understand, they give some period of you being off work. But of course, since it's an organization, if it's a longer period, they discharge you from
work.
From the work. And then for government officials, normally if you have a criminal record or there's something they're inquiring, they interdict you from your job. They keep you on half pay and you're somewhere and you don't come to the work.
Okay.
So, but your money will be half that money. So once the case is sorted, you can still come back. So there's a reintegration process which exists within the government.
Does this happen even if the person is guilty?
Well, if you're guilty, you have to serve.
And after serving, do they reintegrate you back?
That also depends on the period and the crime.
Normally what happens with interdictions like this, like my colleague said, he has explained it rightfully. When you are under interdiction mostly happens to government employees. And this one mostly happens when you are under investigation. Okay. When your case is under investigation. And meaning that the cases which are involved for you to be in this circumstance can be one, corruption. Who doesn't know Uganda for corruption? Laxmi will tell me if he doesn't know. But these are facts. These are facts which the government is fighting very hard to see that we come out of it. I'm very happy that the anti-corruption unit and so on have been established to see that these cases are really put to an end. So meaning that if you embezzle the government funds, let's say you're working as a cow, if you've been earning 3 million, you are under interdiction, the amount of money or salary or they pay which the government will give you is now 125.
Yeah, the half of the 3 million.
Half of the 3 million. So as this investigation goes on, you keep on earning this amount of money. When the government concludes, when the investigation is concluded and they go to realize that it is true that you are guilty, you earn this money from what I understand, you earn this money for some period of time, then your name disappears from the payroll. Your name disappears from the payroll, meaning that when your name disappears, you're no longer an employee of the government.
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, you don't do what? You're not entitled to your benefits.
Okay, we have gone by the first hour of the show. Anyone who is in interdiction, we wish you all the best. And we have come to a break, and we'll have the short break, and we are going to bounce back shortly. Don't tune off.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
It's time to break free with Azam TV. Grab yourself a full kit at 80,000 shillings or an Azam decoder at 40,000 shillings. Experience the thrill of every goal in La Liga, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, and the excitement of live sports action from the Saudi Pro League and Carabao Cup on Azam Plus and Play Package in HD. Your favorite China Uganda movies on Chamuka TV on Azam Pure for just 13,000 shillings monthly. Unlock a world of sports and entertainment with Azam TV, the most affordable pay TV around. Visit any of our agents or call 0312 308 900 for more details.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
The search for Miss Uganda is back on Star Times Makula Chika. All regions compete for one crown. Who will be the next true Ugandan beauty queen? Do you have the looks, the brains, the confidence? This is your chance. For registration, log on to www.missuganda.co.ug before 20th June. Miss Uganda 2025 premieres on 27th June at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika. Stay connected on Star Times to watch the journey to the crown.
Miss Uganda, true Ugandan beauty.
This search is sponsored by Vian Esheri, Simo Bale Industry on Star Times to watch the journey to the crown.
Miss Uganda, true Ugandan beauty.
This search is sponsored by Vian Esheri, Simo Bale Industry Park, U-Home, Xiaomi, and Tico Safari Lodge, and lead sponsor Tianao Furniture Manufacturing.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Well, much appreciation to everyone who is watching us through Star Times, through Azam TV and Zuku Satellite, and those who are catching us live on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I've seen a couple of comments, but yeah, keep dropping those comments. In the final 30 minutes of the show, we are going to talk about your comments and your questions that you have put there. But for now, we were talking about we actually had talked about how the society can support these people. And then we broke off when I was conversing with my brother Laxmi, and I was asking him about reinstating these people back into the society. They had actually given a lot of information with gift, adding something onto what he has said. But then I want us to talk about the economic impact of this. Much as we have talked about these people being reinstated, but then Gift also mentioned that at the end, when you're guilty, your name disappears from the payroll. If you were a government official, they give you that period of time, they start paying you half, and then with time, they withdraw. I also know of organizations, actually very many organizations, it's like it's a standard. Yes. When you're applying for a job, they give you an option to tick whether you have been, a criminal record. Yes, whether you have a criminal record or not. So I always imagine what happens when I have a criminal record. It feels like automatically I am put down. That's how I feel. So how does this, if I'm wrong, you people will talk about it, how does this imprisonment affect the economic status of an individual?
Well, I was going to ask my colleague Laxmi here. I was going to ask him a very sensitive question.
Please go ahead. Let's hear the question.
I was going to ask Laxmi if he would accept back someone who has been convicted of murder and has been in remand to his company or organization
Okay.
for work. Yes, one, first of all, the working environment. You need to look at the working environment, how the people will look at this person. But leaving that aside, what I'm trying to mean is simple is definitely you will lose your job if you been in a remand as an individual. Losing your job means that you lose the privileges that you've been enjoying as a result of being an active employee. You're deprived of your monthly salary, but in some cases for the government, you're deprived of your long-term benefits.
Yeah.
So meaning that the financial implication of imprisonment is both in the short term and in the long run. In the long run. And it doesn't only affect the individual, but it affects the society as well. So you as an individual, if you are told you've been doing service every week in a group, you are deprived, you have lost it. Because you do not earn money to save.
Yeah.
What are you saving? If you've been getting monthly salary, you are deprived from getting this monthly salary. The organization is give salary when you are in prison. Maybe you've been for 2 years, 3 years. Even the companies, because you're not bringing profit to the company for working under company. And then two, there's what we also call accrued debts. By the way, let me give you an example. If you are being taken inside at a point when you've been servicing a loan, what does it mean? It means that you are not in a position to pay this loan.
Yeah.
And every time you're not paying this loan, it keeps on accruing. The interest keeps on accruing. The penalties keep on accruing. By the time you come out from remand, you get to realize that a loan of 5 million has gone maybe to 10 million with the penalties. These are accrued debts. And then to the community or to the people who also support you. By the some of these communications at times I'm also against the meeting. Maybe these prisoners, maybe I say that the time must be limited. The government is right to limit the time to go. Because at the end of the day, these prisoners say, go and pick my car, you sell. Let's handle. Go and do this, let's sell their piece of land. In Arua here, when you look at the statistics, you get to realize that majority of the plots which have been sold in Arua by our fellow Lubana men, they are basically for solving home issues.
Yeah.
And some of these home issues, the biggest percentage is handling prison issues. To bail someone out, or maybe to pay for prison charges if you knocked someone and the person is dead, to pay to do the compensations. And I also believe that for you to be behind the bars, if you my colleague used the rightful terms, conviction and the remand. If you're under conviction, meaning that the court process is still on, right?
No, when you're convicted, your case has been heard.
It has been a hard
judgment has been
but
passed.
when you're under remand,
That means you're still pending.
You're still pending.
Yes.
Yes.
So meaning that in this process, the family is definitely running around to see that the land is sold, to see that the court process is being accounted for, it is being held. So you're entitled to losing this.
I also understand that you hire a lawyer, isn't it?
Yes.
You also have to pay.
Yes. Yes.
So then one thing that I needed to add is if you as the head of family, you had been contributing money in your family with your wife, definitely the household income reduces. You're deprived of it.
Yeah.
it reduces it from getting maybe 5 million in a month as a household. You're now earning only maybe 1 million because the woman is the one contributing.
Yes.
So you see the financial implication it is having both on you as an individual, and then in the family. Even in the long run, you get to realize that if you set for yourself a target, let's say of 10 years, by 10 years, I want to accrue finance. I want to accrue wealth of 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, whatever amount someone sets for him or herself. You're deprived of this. Do you do it?
Yeah.
You don't do it. If you decide the 1 million, the 1 million is even used, you're going now to negative. So you see how it affects.
Economic burdens even get worse when this person is the breadwinner of the family and is taken to prison, and a lot of weight comes to whoever is not there in the family. At times, some of these people are even single parents, and the weight comes on the children now. The firstborn has to grow up, no matter how old they are. Yes, Laxmi, you had something to add.
Yeah, so the effects of imprisonment, especially on the economic status, is very gross. I normally say it is a vice, and it is a vice that eats your personal goals. It's a vice that eats your purpose of living, and everything we do is associated with having to make the money. And as we know, money is the means to life at times.
Yes.
So obviously, if you're taken into the prison, then you don't have the ability to do activities that can give you money. He has basically talked about people who are employed, but I want to bring to the attention of the listeners that actually the businessmen suffer the most. It is very, very dangerous for businessmen, and once they get into prison, that means their dreams are shattered. You know, business is a gift. Not everybody is entitled to make money and trade. So in that case, you as the author, as the proprietor of the business, once you're behind the bars, then obviously there are high chances, very high chances, that you will have to lose. You will have to lose because whoever you have employed to work for you needs supervision. And even if it is a family member, then they don't look at it, the business, the way you would look at it. They will think this is something at home that we just need to eat. And then obviously that reduces the money that you make. Certainly, I would say it causes generational poverty. There's that cyclic poverty that keeps coming.
We call it the vicious cycle
of poverty. Yes,
poverty.
That you must have learned that one in economics. Yeah. So one of the drivers of poverty is having to go to the prisons, like being imprisoned. Then I did mention here that a study was done here in Uganda on the impact of caregivers being imprisoned on child education, health, and poverty. That write-up is available with the Makerere University. And obviously it is something that really negatively impacts on the society and also on the families. Yes.
Well, I still want us to talk much about that because much as this impacts individuals' financial capability, it also puts these burdens. I want us to go deep into these burdens and how we can bring people out of these situations. Now, like, the breadwinner is taken away. How does the family survive?
So that's where the cycle continues. One obvious thing I can tell you is the children or the family members will automatically carry a burden.
Yes.
And the burden is exactly what you said. What they will eat, their education, their health, the medical things, but also there is that invisible cost that comes immediately. When you are arrested, your case has not been heard, you're in remand, people normally spend a lot of money in that process. Even seeking justice, sorry to say. That negotiation between the accuser and and you as the offender
Yes.
carries a lot of money, and obviously your savings will go. Then obviously the quality of food you've been eating at home will go down.
Let me interject a little
Please.
bit.
Yes.
You see, we say that the burden of imprisonment of a relative or a family member is always very immense. Not only the individual, but the home or the families. They get affected a lot. But at times, we feel these burdens because of ignorance. I know of homes and I know of people when they say that now they have carried your only brother, they have now carried your only father inside. The attendance of bribe.
It goes high.
The attendance of bribe, what do I mean? Meaning that the people who are around, they want to bribe the authorities. They want to bribe the prison service commissioner, they want to bribe maybe the police, maybe they want to bribe the CID officer.
Like a way of shortcut for this
to
person
see that
to get
our
out.
brother comes out. And now as an individual or as a family, but it is a very serious matter. If you put yourself in this state and you do not know the law and you want to use shortcut, the economic implications, they are always very high negatively on your family. Because some of these monies you're paying, they are not for the rightful purpose. You're paying at a point when they are not needed.
Yeah. And even if you get cheated, you have no way.
You have no way, but since you have started it, you feel that, I think this is the only way. But what you don't understand is that the whole thing is a procedure. But we need to understand that before someone becomes a prisoner, the police must have done a proper investigation. And then they come and they pick you, like my colleague has said. You're taken through all these procedures of going maybe to court. If you're put under the cells here, the police, before you go to the Uganda Prison Service unit, meaning that your case is still here, you have not been convicted. So if you do not understand these procedures, definitely you will go and pick your own cow and sell. Like my colleague said, the biggest burden now comes on the children. On the children. Why? Because you're deprived of so many things.
Yeah.
Even leaving alone the economic bit of it, you're deprived of that fatherly love, you're deprived of maybe that motherly love, or you're deprived of that care that someone should have especially given to you. So you see how dangerous it can be to the society. Now if you are told, not only the families, but the community at large.
Yes.
If you've been someone very instrumental in the community, you've been maybe a leader, you've been very influential, definitely what you've been offering to the community will not be there. You will not offer it. Even when even when you come out, people will now look at you in a very negative way.
Yeah.
You see? So these are burdens which always they come to one, the families, and then two, they come to the societies in which these people are affected from.
So with all these burdens, I have a feeling like organizations and policy makers can help. But the question is how?
So if it is the organizations and policymakers, I would like to say the government of Uganda has well-designed programs while you're in prison.
Okay.
And if you visit the prisons, you're able to see these guys who are skilled. My condition mentioned it before. So one of the things that they do while they're inside is to make sure that they are taught to do something.
Yeah.
And I see most times when I go there, they have nice baskets, these craft things.
Yeah, baskets, even hats, bags.
Exactly. So that is one of the policies that the government has put. While inside there, you should not be idle, you should be able to work. Now the other thing that these people do is, you know, in the process of the disciplining you and giving you reforms, these guys dig.
Okay.
You always see them in vehicles, they take them to people's farms.
Yes, to go and dig
Others are builders, they do this. So by the time you get out, you have that kind of energy to do something. So as long as you come out and you're able-bodied, then you have where to start from. You can do carpentry work, you can do building, you can do something. And also the government of Uganda, one of the designs I see in there is there's formal education. The prisoners, you've been able to see that they study.
Yes.
When they're still inside there, and they're able to sit for the normal examinations that these other guys are sitting. So meaning when they get out, that kind of formal education gives them the ability to reason out on what to do. The only thing that needs to be done while outside is to fight the stigma.
Yeah, true.
Yes. So the stigma has to be fought, and that can only be done also when there are integration plans made.
Yeah.
Prior to that.
And actually these skilling processes and these privileges given to them are to prepare them to cope up with the society when they come out. And there are these people who go to prison without these skills, but they come out when they're skillful. And when someone is digging a lot in the prison and they come out, obviously you have that zeal that you have to be digging also.
Yes.
And at least they have somewhere to step their feet. They have somewhere to start with, not really going around to look for money again, but they know, like, I've been making bags, then I'm coming out, I can just get beads.
Yes.
I still continue making the bags. I still continue having the money.
There is a colleague of mine down in Terego, when the father got arrested and the father was put inside. The father came out when he was a very serious tailor. Yes. So when you go to the man, actually to that village, you get to realize that the only high tailor in that village is a man who was once a prisoner. So what does this bring our attention to? It means that the government of Uganda, through the Uganda Prison Service, by the Uganda Prison Service, who came into inception in 1899. That was when they took over from the British and so on. The British came on. So the government of the Uganda prisons came into service, and from that period of time up to date, you get to realize that there are so many reforms which have been put in place to see that the people who have been under remand, I mean the remand, or who have been convicted, who have been behind the bars, when they come outside, at least they have something to offer to the community.
Yeah.
Then one of them is what my colleague has said, meaning that these people, they are taken through various skilling activities. Those who do tailoring, they do. Haven't you seen prisoners these days even doing construction, building houses for people?
They do.
Yes. Even those ones who are now electricians. We even have those ones who are serious drivers. There was an image trending on social media some time back, a prisoner riding also Uganda police motorcycle. So meaning that it is they have the privileges also to carry on this. And then as my colleague said, the education bit of it is there. We have ever seen year in, year out, prisoners coming out as the best students in Uganda
the national examination boards.
You talk of UPLE, you talk of
UCE,
you talk of UACE and so on. They have come out even in Victoria. They have the meaning that they have been impacted with all this. What we urge now is that there has to be a speedy process to this.
Yeah.
It must not be something which we bring now and then it ends, but it has to be a speedy process. And then one thing I would also want to add on is what we call in these prisons is the journey of life. We have, you know what the journey of life is?
Okay.
My colleague, you must be knowing because you are attached to the church. So when you talk of journey of life, meaning this is a holistic life that you take as an individual. So these people, they are subjected to the biblical teachings. These are parts of training which the government is also trying to see that is offered to these individuals who are in remand. Then when it comes to the employers, I think what best the employers can do is to offer capacity building to these people. When they come back, first of all, we have to accept them. Like my colleague said, if someone has been there maybe for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for simple offenses, when this person comes back, you as a company, you can offer capacity building to this person by furthering this person's career, go for further training, go for skilling and here and so on at the workplaces. Definitely, you never know. This person will become a manager at your workplace, will become the greatest person even at your workplace. By the way,
accepting them is the first step to their healing.
Yes.
In other words, you focus more on their abilities than the weaknesses. Yeah, well, the other bit that it's a recommendation is to offer free justice to people. Okay. And what that will literally mean is they should be heard. They should be given the opportunity to be heard. You know, yesterday when I was in the prison, I was very excited because of the OC prisons. He came out and he was greeting people who were waiting to go and visit. Okay. So in the process, one of the ladies said, "You've been keeping us here for long, why are you not letting us go in?" I said, "You know, we respect religion. The Muslims are praying, after praying they will be fallen, then after fallen, you come in. But if I may ask, what did your son do?" A very good, polite question. And she basically opened up a little bit. Okay. And when she opened up a little bit, and then he went ahead and said, "Do you think your son did it?" And then she was trying to judge, and then the son, the young girl said, "Yes, they fought. This other one even went and got my brother from the toilet and they started fighting." Then he was able to offer free counsel to the visitors and said, "Mama, you know what, if this is the case, I would think, please write this, requesting that you can go and solve this problem outside court." Wow. So in other words, one of the things that the policymaker should be able to do is to offer people information on available options on how to handle the cases that are at hand.
That's true, because many people out there, they really do not know.
Exactly. They do not know. So that information has to be made available. And if it was possible, and within the available resources, people should be given opportunity to have guidance before they go to court.
Actually,
if I may finish just a little bit. You know, there is a lot of free legal service that is being offered by the inmates themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how it is, but I've had chance to move through the corridors of how these things are happening. If you go to the police station where there is detention, they are just holding these people for some little time. You get to realize that the people who are already there and you're joining begin to advise you on what to do. The first question they will ask you is, what has brought you here? Remember, they are inside.
Yes.
You narrate, and if your case is fake, they give you punishment, they begin to punish you. Then in the process, you get friends. Now these friends begin to guide you. Man, if your case is like this, for me, I want to tell you, I have been in this process for long. I am a repeat criminal. You get it? I've been coming here before. So if you want an easy way out, you do like this. You change statement like this. You make. So because there's nobody to offer that kind of information, the right information, there's pair to pair guidance, and at times it is misleading. So there has to be a policy around information.
Yeah, to guide them and
Yes.
them being given that privilege of what to do.
Exactly.
All right, I understand, Mr. Gift, you had something to say, but let's first get into a short break. Keep that information because we still need it after the break.
Yeah.
However, for you, the viewer, you're free to drop your comment or the question in the comment section at our YouTube channel. We have a couple of them there. We're coming back for you. And if time allows, we're going to go into the rehabilitation process and how the society can accept these people once again in the community after being imprisoned. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
It's time to break free with Azam TV. Grab yourself a full kit at 80,000 shillings or an Azam decoder at 40,000 shillings. Experience the thrill of every goal in La Liga, Italian Serie A, German Bundesliga, and the excitement of live sports action from the Saudi Pro League and Carabao Cup on Azam Plus and Play Package in HD. Your favorite China Uganda movies on Chambuka TV on Azam Pure for just 13,000 shillings monthly. Unlock a world of sports and entertainment with Azam TV, the most affordable pay TV around. Visit any of our agents or call 0312 308 900 for more details.
Azam TV, entertainment for everybody.
The search for Miss Uganda is back on Star Times Makula Chika. All regions compete for one crown. Who will be the next true Ugandan beauty queen? Do you have the looks, the brains, the confidence? This is your chance. For registration, log on to www.missuganda.co.ug before 20th June. Miss Uganda 2025 premieres on 27th June at 8 p.m. on Makula Chika. Stay connected on Star Times to watch the journey to the crown.
Miss Uganda, true Ugandan beauty.
This search is sponsored by Rian Esheri, Sino Mbale Industrial Park, U-Home, Xiaomi, and Tico Safari Lodge, and lead sponsor Tianao Furniture Manufacturing.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, you're most welcome from that short break. Our time is fast spent, so we will go direct into where we left. You're most welcome. We're talking about the policy makers and how we can support these individuals.
Yes, I was airing out a very strong point before we went into break. I love the fact that my colleague Larzimi was bringing in a very strong point concerning information. When you go to busy police stations and the prison service and so on, I think it is very important for the policymakers definitely to make information available to these individuals. When you carry research slowly, you get to understand that some people, they are behind the bars because of denial. Yes, there is a very huge gap between them and the policymakers because they do not have information. Someone has the feeling that if I mentioned the reality, definitely I would stay maybe behind the bus longer. If I do this, maybe I will remain behind the bus longer. And it is so unfortunate that this has at the same time extended to the people outside who are supposed to actually offer them more guidance for a quicker, a quicker time to come out.
Yeah.
It has become a challenge. But I think as the policymakers, it is very important for us to make information, like my colleague has said, available. Let the people who have been put inside understand why they are inside. What is it that has brought me here? Is it a murder? Is it a theft? I think if they get to understand this, and what charges probably would be given to them, then someone will not live in a state of denial.
Yeah.
Probably your chances of staying inside will be a little bit strong, a little bit shorter.
Yes.
But when you live in a denial, and the policymakers definitely not to bring this information, it affects not only the individual, but it affects also the prison service and the police by the two. One, it puts their image at stake, and when the image is at stake, there's an increasing hatred between the police and the society.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. Otherwise,
on that note, the Uganda Police Service, they are custodians. Okay, so they are just like a store.
Yes.
Now, but the right policymakers, the ones who decide on the faith, especially now I was telling you, there are too many remand cases as compared to those who are convicted. So it's not the making of the prisons themselves. So it's the judicial system that has to deal with this. You get?
Yeah.
So that collaboration is needed between the police, the judicial system, and also the Uganda police. So that has to happen. But otherwise, we have cases which we call custodial crimes, and then there are those who are none. So, for example, if I borrowed money from you and I've refused to pay it, in that case I am a debtor. And if you take me in, I'm not a criminal. You have to look and take care of me. So these things, these policies need to be matched.
They are actually supposed to be handled. They are supposed to be civil. These are some of these cases. They are civil cases where you can sit, you agree, and then
it ends there. That kind of information is.
So when we bring it, I think it's important for people who will not end up in these kind of situations.
Actually, this you mentioned, it is this lack of information that has created this bad relationship between the police and the society in relation to the judicial system. It's like the society doesn't understand what the police is doing, and police is saying we are for you, but the society is saying no. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. This is a big topic of itself. It's a sensitive matter that has to be looked into. The community needs to be sensitized on what is going on. They need to know.
Yeah.
Now, our time is really fast spent. We are only 21 minutes to end the show. Let's get to answer some of these questions. I have a question from Bako Keren, both a question and a comment. Bako Keren and then Daniel Almeni. Let's start from Bako Keren. She's saying, thank you so much, brothers, for the information. I appreciate. But restoration of the broken relationship is something key we need to look into, because once these people are released back to the society, once these people are released back to the society, there's a lot of stigma. And as said, defense mechanism, which actually can be handled. But how do we involve the family and the community in this rehabilitation stage as it is supposed to be done? So that's a very good question. How do we involve the community and the family in the rehabilitation stage? Yeah, let's start from you, Laxmi.
Thanks, and that's the heart of it. That's the heart of it. Experience has shown to me that there are inmates who do not want to go back, even if they have the opportunity to go back. And why? Because they are not prepared enough to go home. And in most cases, it is just because there is no exit plan. There is no exit plan for them. So how do we help that kind of situation?
Yes.
Is what Bako is asking.
Yes.
And it's a very important question. So there is lack of linkage between the family members and also the prison inmates. You remember what I said from the beginning? When you're newly imprisoned, people visit you frequently.
Yeah.
Now, one of the easiest things that I see other countries do is to give opportunity for the inmate to write letters. You write letters and deliver those letters to the families. But the other bit is to deliberately invite the family, to give them opportunity to come and see. You remember the story you talked about? A young girl thinking that there are no men in this world.
Yeah, she actually thinks the world comprises of women alone.
It's because of the family linkage. So that has to be done. There has to be deliberate move to reconnect families, to give them opportunity. But also the other bit is normally taken for, because the community bit of it is, what did this person do? You see, that's where it is more complicated. But if sensitization is done to the family members, then rehabilitation is easier. The other thing I did mention was protection of the property of the inmate.
Yes.
So if I am in prison and I built a house or I had a piece of land, now I come back, other people are digging up my pieces of land. There's already cassava on the piece of land that I have. Do you think it will be easier for me to say this was my land, leave it? It will be difficult.
It may even lead to fights.
Exactly. So the only way to do is to sensitize the family and say, much as this is this, we need decision space from the inmate about his property and about how he wants things to be done on his behalf.
Okay.
Yes.
So that privilege is always given to them?
From the prison service department, it is given.
Okay.
It is lacking from the families. It is lacking from the families.
So the family just has to be more supportive.
Exactly. And for them to be more supportive, then it has to be, somebody has to be responsible.
Yeah, true.
Somebody has to be responsible for that.
Over to you.
Yeah. I think Bako must have been one person who had been maybe affected some time back, or else he had a relative who had faced this kind of circumstance. But like my colleague has said, the reintegration process is very important. That is the key point. One, you do not reintegrate with only the person who is inside. You who is outside as the family, your biggest role is to reintegrate with the society. Because at the end of the day, this person will not die behind the bars. This person will come back. After 1 year, 2 years, will come back.
Yeah, they'll still come back to this same society.
Then two, I've witnessed circumstances where the authorities under the government have always come out through the OC police station,
Community liaison officer.
The community liaison officers, correctly said by my colleague, and the area LC ones, and even the village leaders or the elders, to see that community barazas are brought to them.
Okay.
And it's positive sensitizations, especially on arrest of some individuals in the community, is being done. I remember one scenario where a murder case took place, and when the murder case took place, actually the person who was murdered, the relatives, they came, and they also stormed the community, which they carried out the murder, because an individual had carried out the murder. So they murdered successfully, but at the end of the day, the police was able to come into rescue and liaise with the area leaders. At the end of the day, community baraza was organized and the issues were handled amicably. I think the one who was put inside behind the bus, up to now who is still inside, I know the reintegration process had started from that point. Meaning that in this process, all the parties will be able to understand why the whole thing had happened. If we have this, definitely at the end of the day, when someone comes out, the community will welcome this person, and they will, forgiveness always comes.
So who is supposed to lead these community barazas?
It's an initiative which can be taken up by anyone, but we have to understand that you cannot organize any sitting anyhow under the public.
That's true.
Yes, you cannot organize any, but it is very important.
Okay, we still have one more question coming in. Let's keep it summarized.
Yeah, maybe to conclude on what you're saying, that should be the responsibility of the local council, area local council, because you need to know who is coming into your area and who has left. So that kind of bit should be in the hands of the local council area officer. But to add on what he has said, the only arm that is feared, respected, are the religious leaders. Reintegration has to have something to do with the spiritual being of the beings who are existing. So you will notice all religions, religious leaders are respected.
Yeah.
So that is one approach that can be taken to make sure that the religious leaders are involved in the process of rehabilitation. For us Christians, we say that only sin that cannot be forgiven, I don't know, is it even really there? Because Jesus himself said, if you're sinless, pick the stone and throw at her. Yeah, so obviously religion has to play something in the process of reintegration, and forgiveness has to come in.
Okay. So these community sensitizations are actually very, very important in helping to set the ground for these people as they're coming up.
Correct.
And one more question from Bako Karen. How can we mitigate the negative effects of imprisonment and promote successful reintegration?
So I think we need to thank the management of West Nile TV. This is one of the things to do. People lack information.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, sorry to say this, but at Lux Foundation, one of the things we have chosen to do is to move to border stages.
Okay.
And let people know about the effects of being in prison. So you give them. Then secondly, the least of this thing is whatever takes people to the prison are very small, petty things.
That's true.
Very small things. But if you don't let these ones know, then obviously they will get them.
Yeah, they will think it has no much effect.
So before you go for the effects, I would say avoid being there. That will be the best mitigation measure.
Wow.
To add on what he has said, it's very important for us to understand the root cause of what is taking us actually inside. And then if it has been understood, like we said earlier on, acceptance will come in. If acceptance has come in from both the individual who has been behind the bars, and then the society or the community, definitely sensitization comes in. If you're able to sensitize the community, I think it will be very important also to see that such kind of cases, their crimes and so on, they are mitigated. And then too, it's also very important if you look at cases of imprisonment. Take a look at drug abuse. If someone has been put behind the bars because of drug abuse, most of these drug abuses are because of lack of employment. People are idle and so on.
Yeah.
If you're able to bring skills close to people, then it is a little bit easy, something which can keep you busy I think you will not be thinking of someone's son, you will not see that Sophie Sue is there, you need to go and pick and then sell. But all in all, even to the individuals themselves who commit these crimes, mindset change is always very important. If we do not have mindset change, and then even if the government brings the skills, the training, jobs and so on, no one will want to go and take part in that because they believe the easiest way to get them is by picking.
Yeah, but I think Karen has a very strong point.
And she has come in saying that she thinks the initiative can be best taken by the liaison officer. How true is that?
And that's what we're talking about for linkage, for integration. The liaison officer is key. But the other arm that we have missed out is what we call human capital development.
Okay.
And that has to do with education. Parenting is key. If we want mitigation measures, we need to figure out a way of parenting children so that they are able to know the right thing right from the start. Otherwise, right now, if we do not put in the bit of parenting, the world will teach the kids for us. And that's one obvious thing that leads to crime. Then secondly, under human capital development, education plays a big role. And if the education levels are low, expect crime to still come to its maximum.
Okay.
So having to do something with the enrollment in schools and also ensuring that we're able to maintain these people in school, the dropout rates should be low, will help a lot.
Well, our time is really fast spent, but hopefully we will have you guys again on this show to conclude on what we have started. We need to do effects of imprisonment conclusion, but then when that is going to be, we will work on it. However, for now, I'm giving space for you people to tell the community any other thing. Maybe something that we have not touched, but you want to talk about it now. You're welcome. Let's start from Gift. But then you can still start if you have something to add on what Karen had said, but let's keep it summarized.
To the viewers and those who are following this program, I think they should call themselves blessed. And then at the end of the day, they should not take the whole prize, but they should act as agents of change outside there.
True.
To see that these cases are reduced a little bit. Because we know that the government of Uganda is pushing very hard, is struggling very hard to see that the cases of congestion and so on, they are mitigated, and they are also looking very hard that they reach out to the community to see that the cases of crime and so on are reduced. These are all the burdens. If we don't do them, but the burden comes, one, to you as the individual, two, to the community, three, to the family, and then four, it comes to the government.
Yes.
So when it comes to the government, it affects us as a whole. The death rate as a government, it increases. So to the ones who are viewing and who have the ears to listen, I would say that do not allow yourself to be formed in this kind of circumstance, because it's very easy to go in, but to come out,
it's not
very hard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. One of the effects of being in prison is deterioration of your personal health. Your feeding system is affected, and that gives you weak immunity. Something that we need to know here is that there is quick spread of TB, tuberculosis. These are common diseases that we see. You can go into the prison when you're healthy, but your health can deteriorate from them.
Yeah.
So I see common cases of TB, malnutrition. This happen. So it affects the health of an individual. The government is trying hard. Most of the prisons have health facilities in them, but I can assure you, essential medicine and health supplies is not at times consistent. And if you go to a rural regional referral hospital, one of the diverse effects you see is the quality of treatment given to these inpatients. One medical illness needs family support. So most times there are no people attending to these people apart from the prison wardens who are attending to these individuals. So you need to take into consideration that that is one of the effects that also comes to communities and you as an individual. Over time, there are death rates that happen in them just because of being ill. So, like Condition said, the gates are wide open, but the exit is very narrow. The second point is, all of us are candidates if we don't exercise self-control. At times what takes you there is out of control. It's not yours, it can be external. The last thing is, we are talking about physical imprisonment, but many people are also undergoing spiritual imprisonment. So it all weighs out. Much as we are working and communicating to people about the physical confinement, you need to make sure that your mind, your soul enjoys the freedom that God is also giving you, so that you're able to make proper decisions. In other words, I said, also get free from spiritual bondage.
Okay.
Yes.
Get free from spiritual bondage as well as the physical bondage. And I have a comment coming in from Daniel Ameni, and I think you know him. Daniel Ameni is saying, thank you West Nile TV for hosting these resilient boys tackling an issue that is not given enough attention to. No. Thank you so much. Yuma Jacob, wow, thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Jacob, for watching West Nile TV. And Bako Karen is coming again. In parenting, people should be made known of who they are, identify, and should work on their self-esteem.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that is very true. I think this conversation will not end. We can still go and continue it from here, because you know people have these links, they still keep watching and following these comments. Thank you so much everyone who has watched West Nile TV Real Talk Show this Saturday, and we really appreciate you. For those who are watching through Star Times, Zuko, and Azam, you can go to our YouTube section in order to be part of us and drop in your comments there, drop in your question there, and be part of us. Let's run the show together. Thank you so much once again for watching. And today has been an amazing one, and we're talking about the effects of imprisonment with Gift Condition and Godfrey Odama Laxmi. Thank you so much for giving us this information that some people pay for, by the way. And thanks for honoring the invitation to West Nile TV.
Appreciate it.
All right, we say we meet again on Saturday with a different set of guests with a different topic. Bye-bye for now.